Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and week 0 is in the books, folks. Week 1 is going to be coming up this Thursday, but we've got some games to analyze. And I'm so glad college football is back, as I'm sure all of you guys are as well. I've been so anticipating, so excited about the return of college football, and we've got it back. And I can't say that today went all that unpredictable overall. It pretty much did exactly what we expected it to do. You know, we had a couple good games. The rest of the games, weren't all that great, particularly Kansas's win over Fresno State. But I will say in that game, and we'll have something to talk about later on in the show when it comes to that game, there was one key storyline for that one that's really important to talk about possibly for the rest of the season and for the rest of Kansas season in particular. But the other games, they went pretty, much as well as we expected them to. But yeah, it's so excited to have college football back. I can't wait to talk about these games that occurred today. But so far in the chat, we've got Jackson Johnson saying, "What's up, Only Talk Sports Nation?" Appreciate that, Jackson. Scotty B, appreciate being here. He says, "Calling my shot. Stanford goes 0-12. We'll talk about that as well. Good old Stanford. It's in the title of the video. It's in the title of the live stream. Stanford still sucks. They're not good at all. They're pretty rough. We got Scotty B saying Fresno State quarterback EJ Warner is a pick machine. Absolutely. And ULV was too close on the win. Absolutely. So definitely tons to get to. You touched on a lot of great points already, Scotty B. Appreciate you for being here. But definitely want to start out live stream talking about that Kansas State-Iowa State game. Obviously, the kickoff game in Ireland, it's become a big deal in college football lately to have the first game of the year be a pretty big game. Not like a massive game, but, like a Notre Dame Navy, a Northwestern Nebraska, a Georgia Tech Florida State, a solid game that will have some eyeballs and put it in Ireland. You heard commentators talk about the globalization of college football. I really don't know, how far you really want to take that. I mean, I know what they mean by that. I mean, you're playing a game in Ireland. They could end up moving games elsewhere, but, I mean, logistically, that would cost a lot of money. I think it's cool to have a kickoff game played somewhere else, though. I think it is cool. But I don't know if we're going to suddenly be having games being played all over the world, kind of like some of the media people are making it seem like. But that beside the point. Iowa State, Kansas State. This was the first time that two ranked teams were playing in Ireland. So that's a pretty big deal. And both these teams have aspirations of making the college football playoff and winning the Big 12. I think what's funny is how they kept stressing that point throughout the entire broadcast of this game, of how important this game was and is. And it is important. Don't get me wrong. Both these teams trying to win the Big 12, trying to make the college football playoff, but it's like, folks, it's week 0. We're not even in week 1. We're already talking about the playoff. That's how it dominates these people's thoughts all the time. I'm just like, pump the brakes. We're going to get to playoff talk. I get it. I'm going to probably be talking about the playoff as well, somewhat in this live stream, and that's fair. But at the same time, it's like, football's just come back. Let's relish in a top 25 matchup played in another country. It's a big deal. It's a big game. Two solid quarterbacks in Rocco Beck, Avery Johnson. Let's just talk about that. But you know how it is. So this game starts out, and it's rough, and that's fair. It's fair that it's going to be a rough start for both of these teams because of the fact that you're talking about rain. You had rain in Ireland. The rain was rough, and obviously that's not a good recipe for a first game when, you've already got jitters as is. Trying to start off, against a high-quality opponent. Neither of these teams are playing, Ball State or something like that to, start the season, or South Dakota State, even though South Dakota State has beaten people before. Teams of that caliber, though, Ball State, all those teams can beat, quality opponents. But we're talking about a top 25 matchup here. There's going to be jitters. A lot of stakes are already on the line for the playoff, and all that. So big deal. So there's fumbles everywhere. Both teams are fumbling like crazy. That muff return by Kansas State was hilarious. That was terrible. That pitch that Iowa State tried to do at the goal line, that was a fumble. There was a lot of chaotic garbage that occurred in this game. early on. It was hilarious. We got some more comments got to read as well. Scotty B saying K-State beat themselves again just like last year. They made too many mistakes. Iowa State turned the ball over twice but overcame that. Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, when you're watching a game, turnovers do matter, more so than some people give it credit for. And sometimes they don't mean as much as some people give credit for. But I would say in a week 0 game, week 1 game, whatever you want to call it, first game of the season, the team that does take care of the ball better is probably going to win more likely than not. I mean, you can be middle of the season and turn the ball over 3 times and still overcome it because, you're in mid-season form. You can make a couple mistakes, probably still be able to overcome it if you're the better team. Neither of these teams are in mid-season form, and it showed. Rocco Beck, he had like one good drive in the first half for Iowa State, but other than that, he was pretty rough. It was ugly. Like, the guy was like at one point like 7 of like 18. It was pretty bad. Granted, some of his receivers dropped passes, but that's also a byproduct of a week 0 game. Kansas State, Avery Johnson, all I know is that Avery Johnson better not be reading social media right now, because if he is, he's getting roasted. That's all I'm going to say. He's getting absolutely roasted online because of the whole Ohio State with Will Howard thing. It's like this whole saga of Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Avery Johnson. It's hilarious, who's better? And like now Will Howard, because he won a title at Ohio State, it's like the greatest ever. And like Kansas State was so dumb to run him off for Avery Johnson. I just think that whole storyline is absolutely hilarious as well. But what are you going to do? That's funny to me, And then you've got Avery Johnson. What makes it worse for him is not only do you have all that quarterback connection with Ohio State, with Will Howard, but Avery Johnson was a highly ranked quarterback. Coming out of high school. So he's got high expectations. Avery Johnson played well in this game. You look at stats, he played better than Rocco Beck. Avery Johnson threw for 273 yards. I believe, honestly, I think his final stat line was something like 21 of 30 for 273 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and he had like a rushing touchdown as well. He played better to me than Rocco Beck did. Even though Rocco Beck now is like Heisman candidate, which is so funny. I love the memes on that as well. Rocco Beck's a Heisman candidate, as well as Kansas's quarterback, who we'll get to later on the show. I got a lot to talk about with him. But, yeah, like Rocco Beck, Heisman candidate, even though Avery Johnson outperformed him. Avery Johnson played well. It's not his fault they didn't win. But Iowa State took care of the ball better overall. And Iowa State, made the plays they needed to make to win this game. Either team was great. You can't take this game and say, hey, like Iowa State, like now they're definitively going to win the Big 12. And, they're going to make the college football playoff. And like Kansas State's automatically done. Yeah, it hurts Kansas State they lost. It hurts. But it doesn't mean their entire season's wrecked either. So, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, after – the aftermath of this game for both of these teams, to see where both these teams end up. I'm intrigued because we've seen like teams get a big win in week 0, week 1 does not mean it's going to carry over for the rest of the season. Iowa State could end up going 7-5 and K-State could go 10-2, or Iowa State could go 11-1 and Kansas State could go 7-5 because of this result. We don't know how it's going to end up. But what we do know is that this is a good start to the season for Iowa State, and it seemingly, is continuing the trend of Iowa State being clutch. Iowa State was very clutch last year. They won a lot of close games last year. That's what the Big 12 is. A lot of people are like, oh, the Big 12. I've heard so many people in the media talk about the Big 12 and how competitive it is and all the teams. It's a fun conference. It's a fun conference because none of the teams are all that elite. It's a very competitive conference because a lot of the teams are comparable. Literally, the Big 12, 7 or 8 teams could win the league. Utah could come out of nowhere this season. Kyle Whittingham's maybe last year and win the Big 12. It could be K-State. It could be Iowa State. It could be Baylor. It could be Arizona State. It could be Texas Tech. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many teams in the Big 12 that could win the conference. And it's not because, oh, there's something uniquely special about this league. I guess the only thing that's uniquely special is that none of the teams are truly elite. They don't have an elite program in the conference. They lost those two, elite programs to the SEC, and now it's a bunch of solid programs. Nothing wrong with that. It does make the league fun. But some of these people talking about this league, they just kind of like overhype it up like it's so cool. I mean, it's cool, but all these games are going to be like this. This final score of 24-21, you're going to see a lot of games like this. A lot of it, you're going to see like Baylor, Utah be good. Games like that. Just these games in the Big 12 that all go down to the wire because all these teams are very comparable. So, yeah, just interesting. Good game. Good start to the season for Iowa State. Doesn't mean K-State's season's wrecked. It doesn't mean Avery Johnson's trash. I tweeted earlier today that Avery Johnson, he's a good quarterback. He's not elite like some people want him to be or expect him to be, but he's good. And he's got room to grow still. I didn't have him in my top 10 quarterbacks list in the preseason, but he's a good player. I like Avery Johnson. I think he's fine. But some people I think, are expecting him to be, a little bit better than what he's given. And he had more expectations than Rocco Beck coming into college. And Rocco Beck exceeded expectations, whereas Avery Johnson at most has barely met those expectations, probably underperformed those expectations, and that's why he gets a lot of flack. So, yeah, just an interesting game overall. A good way to kick off the college football season, though. A solid game. Not Notre Dame Navy. That was a terrible game, blowout. Games like Northwestern Nebraska that are memorable, those are fun. Those are absolutely fun. And Georgia Tech, Florida State, that started Florida State's massive decline last season. This was a good start to the college football season, kicked it off in the right way. But after that, to get to a few other games, we had UNLV Idaho State. And I'm going to touch on this game for brief, but this was funny. If people were paying attention to the Dan Mullen trash talk online, this was great. Like, Dan Mullen, I legitimately thought, man, like he was going to blow this game. His first game as the UNLV head coach. You're playing a FCS opponent. This game should not be close, right? It should be an easy win for UNLV. But there was this screenshot. It was so great. But there was this screenshot where someone took a picture of it or something like that on Twitter. And they posted it on Twitter. It took a picture of it where this Idaho State wide receiver caught the ball. And there's no defender. There is like no defender for UNLV probably within 30 yards of this guy. All right. And the only guy in the way is the ref, which I retweeted that thing. And I was like, all right, we got this. We got the ref as Dan Mullen's only hope, which actually the ref almost stopped the guy. He almost stopped the receiver from scoring. He almost accidentally tripped him up. But at the end of the day, that guy scored and Idaho State took the lead. And it looked like they were going to win. And it looked like Dan Mullen was cooked right after his first game at UNLV. But somehow, someway, E.J. Warner, actually, tell you about E.J. Warner is Fresno State, UNLV. UNLV's quarterback. Who was UNLV's quarterback again? Was it Jordan Cook? I don't think Idaho State guy. Is he? No, he is the Idaho State guy. So who is UNLV's quarterback? I did not see a lot of this game because I only saw a little bit of screenshots of it because I think it was on Mountain West Network. So who is UNLV's quarterback? Got to get this right really quick, to clarify that he saved the day. He saved the day for UNLV. Calandria, that's it. Anthony Calandria. I should have remembered that. Anthony Calandria is the guy that was at Virginia. I remember him. He's throwing picks left and right. He was throwing picks left and right at Virginia. He was not very good. But he's at UNLV now, so good for Dan Mullen. He got a Power 4 quarterback. But Anthony Calandria, his stat line, it says 15 to 21, 195 yards and a touchdown. So not that good. But UNLV was able to win, and Dan Mullen was able to survive somehow. I will say, and I think Scotty B made the great point. Yeah, it is. Scotty B, absolutely, you're 100% right. He says UNLV does have a lot of roster turnover. That's true. I agree. And we know why, because Barry Odom left and went to Purdue, took a lot of the roster with him. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. But Dan Mullen, though, the problem is that when you take a job like this, especially after the Florida, run, after his stint at Florida, went the way that it did. And a lot of people, have talked so much trash about Dan Mullen the last few years about his lack of legit coaching, his lack of recruiting. He's an X's and O's guy, but does he put everything into it? I don't know. That you take a job like UNLV, you've got to do well, man. You just can't. You cannot lose a game like this, right? It's like Lane Kiffin after he resurrected his career at Alabama as the OC. He takes the Florida Atlantic job, and he does well there. Well, Dan Mullen's got to do pretty solid at UNLV to gain any legitimate credibility back. And, yeah, it was almost a disastrous start for him. But he was able to get it done. So good for Dan Mullen. I'm not expecting UNLV to have a good season or Anthony Calandria at all, but at least he started out with a win over Idaho State. I do want to talk about Kansas, though. There is a lot to say here about a player in particular, Jalen Daniels. I don't know if anybody watched the Kansas game, but Kansas-Fresno State, right from the jump, Kansas, Jalen Daniels, they might be back. I don't want you ever want to say this is like a week 1 overreaction, or a week 0 overreaction. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a week 0 overreaction. Kansas, the last couple years, has underperformed after they had the good, run with Jalen Daniels 2022. I mean, they were pretty good 2023, but it's just like overall, like he was struggling, he was injured. But Jalen Daniels, at his best, is a really good player. Legitimately. But he's had so many injuries. I was starting to worry that he might not ever get back to the level of quarterbacking that he was at before. And I agree with Scotty B's point here. He's bringing out a lot of great points tonight. I think Kansas is relieved that Jeff Grimes is no longer their OC. That helps. That helps big time. Jeff Grimes is not good. So Kansas, new OC, and they got a new and improved, healthy, I don't even want to say new and improved. It's honestly like old Jalen Daniels is back. And all I can say is how I was mentioning earlier, Big 12 teams that could win the Big 12. I did not mention Kansas. And I deliberately did not mention Kansas because I was waiting for now to talk about them. I think Kansas has a shot. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, and that's a big key because he runs a lot, and I am worried that he will get hurt again. And that's why I did not have him in my top 10 quarterbacks list. A couple years ago, I'd had Jalen Daniels way up there. He's good. He's a fun player to watch. I mean, he's good at passing. He's good at running. But, man, he has not been the same player the last couple of years. And I do think the injuries is a big reason why. I think Jeff Grimes is part of the problem as well. I mean, he was a terrible offensive coordinator. But Lance Leopold, he's got a new coordinator. Kansas is a new stadium. So good for Kansas. Things are looking up for them. Stadium looks nice. Gotta love the improvements there. Kansas is trying to, legitimately be a, football program. They're a basketball school through and through. Some schools just are like Kentucky, Kansas, Duke. We all know this. But they're trying to inject life into their football program. Lance Leopold has dug them out of the ashes. Jalen Daniels is a fun player, the exact type player a program like Kansas needs. When you're not a good program overall and you're trying to get good, you need a guy like Jalen Daniels. It gets people watching. I like Jalen Daniels, and I hope for his success. I hope he has a great season. And I'm very happy to see, him looking much improved. I mean, he wasn't perfect today. He made a few, minor mistakes. But the flashes of brilliance that we have been accustomed to from, Jalen Daniels in the past that we have not seen in a while has returned. I have not seen the spark that we saw out of Jalen Daniels in this game in a long time. And that is very encouraging if you are a Kansas fan. I am very encouraged for Kansas fans. We got Dylan Jones in the chat. Appreciate you for stopping by. Says, and they caused chaos last year at the tail end of the season in the Big 12. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. I mean, they beat Colorado. That was hilarious what happened to them at the end of the season last year. All the hype that they were having, and then they blew that game against Kansas. And it showcased that Lance Leopold, it's not like things have completely fallen apart for them. Kansas, they still had some spark in them. Jason Bean had done great work as a backup for Kansas the last couple of years to keep them relevant, to keep them solid. I'm just saying, I'm not putting anything out there. I don't want to overhype this thing again. I don't want to have overreactions here because I feel like I'm just so excited college ball's back, and we've got the smallest of games here that you can just overanalyze these to death. But if Kansas, Jalen Daniels stays healthy, and they can improve upon this game, they might be a factor at the end of the season in the Big 12. Very well might be a factor. But that's a big if Jalen Daniels can stay healthy. I don't have a lot to say about Western Kentucky, Sam Houston. I mean, Western Kentucky played better. They scored a lot of points. So, yeah. I mean, it was a good win for Western Kentucky. It seems like their offense is continuing to hum for basically the last decade at this point. They've been really good on offense for a while, and they still are. Their quarterback had a lot of yards. 401 yards. Killed it. That's what Western Kentucky does. And it looks like, they'll have a shot in Conference USA. Don't know if they'll win it, but they'll have a shot. So, good for them. One more point on the Kansas game, because Scotty makes a great point. They started out slow last year. Absolutely. The thing was for Kansas, they had one of those schedules where all of their early games were tricky. That's what happened. They didn't have hardly any gimmies. They had a lot of these games that were losable, right? They had a lot of games that were losable. And, yeah, they just kept barely losing. It's not like they were getting embarrassed. They kept losing by 3-7. So Kansas was one of those teams that was clearly better than their record. That happens. Some teams start out 1-4. And are they that bad? No. But they just can't find ways to win. And that's what happened to Kansas last year. I agree with that. So we got the last game of the night to talk about. And I might open up the line. I don't know. I knocked a step too late tonight. But I'm probably open up to maybe the StreamYard line, possibly take some calls if anybody's interested in that. But so Hawaii, Stanford. This game right here I had circled. I did. After that Iowa State, Kansas State game, this was honestly the game I was looking forward to the most. Stanford still sucks, folks. They still suck. Ben Gulbranson. I don't know if anybody watched this game or not. I mean, it was on CBS, and I mean, there really wasn't anything else to watch unless you're watching preseason NFL. So I'm sure some people watched it. I'm sure a lot of you guys here watched this game. Stanford should have won this game. I mean, you've got Andrew Luck. It's the brains, right, of the operation now at Stanford. And you've got Frank Reich, a former NFL coach, right? You got all this going for you, supposedly, at Stanford. Things should be getting better. And guess what? Things are not better. They should have won this game. It honestly blows me away about how bad Stanford is. I legitimately feel bad for Stanford because when I was a kid, I mean, obviously I'm young. I'm on the younger side. And when I was a kid, Stanford was good. And Stanford sucks now. And I kind of miss Stanford being good. I mean, it's not like I like Stanford. I'm not going to add Stanford to my list of teams I like. As everybody's always saying, my list of teams that I love is growing. I love Alabama. I love Indiana. I love UNC. There's some other teams that I like pretty well, but it's not, you know what I'm saying here. Like I've got teams I like. Everybody's teams that they like. But when I was a kid, Stanford was pretty cool. They were pretty cool back in the day. And now they suck. They just suck, dude. Jim Harbaugh and early David Shaw. It was something else back then. But yeah, I don't know. Ben Gulbranson. So they're up, right? I think it's 20-17. It's 5 minutes to go. And Stanford's moving the ball. Their running back, Micah Ford, was doing great on the ground. I mean, I was honestly blown away that Hawaii was not stopping the run because Stanford just kept running the ball because Ben Gulbranson was so bad. And, yeah, we're going to get to that, Dave Valensky. And I do appreciate your super chat. Appreciate your super chat, Godfather of the SEC. I definitely will get to those. But the rest on this game, though, the Ben Gulbranson threw so many bad passes early in the game, right? And then literally Stanford's got the ball. They're deep in territory. In Hawaii's territory. 5 minutes to go. And Ben Gulbranson throws one of the dumbest passes I've ever seen in my life. Just puts no loft on. Absolutely no loft. Just throws this hard line pass. and the Hawaii DB picks it up. And what makes it even worse, Dave Valensky appreciate you being here, Dave Valensky, but spoiling what happened here. They lost to a kicker that learned how to kick on YouTube. That's one of the problems here. But the other thing is that the Hawaii quarterback was hobbling hard, massively injured. I think his name was also Micah, like Stanford's running back. Micah Alahado, I think is how you pronounce that. But he's hurt. He is struggling, right? And this guy goes out there and is dropping dime after dime. Stanford's applying no pressure. And what's even crazier, absolutely crazier about this game, is that the whole time Stanford's playing tough D, right? Like the DBs are right on the Hawaii receivers. They're putting pressure and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the game, they allow easy space. I don't know why this happens in so many games where you'll just see that. Great defense all game, but then final drive, they just play prevent defense. They play prevent defense, and they're allowing Hawaii. They're just getting picked apart. And then Hawaii kicks the field goal, wins. Yeah, so it's crazy. I mean, yeah, they need a facelift. And obviously, I mean, it's one game. It's one game. You know, you don't want to throw Frank Reich and Andrew Luck under the bus yet, you know, but man, that's ugly, dude. That they should not have lost this game. They had this game in the bag, absolutely blew it. And all I gotta say is Stanford still sucks. Sorry for Stanford fans out there, but it's not looking like it's gonna get any better. But we got Dave Valensky here with a $4.09 on Super Chat. Appreciate it, Dave. He says the Big 12 is the Big 10 West of conferences. Anybody can beat anybody. There's not a lot of teams that are dominant. Yeah, I agree. I mean, either the Big 10 West or the ACC Coastal. ACC Coastal comes to my mind because remember that time when the ACC Coastal 7 winners, like all 7 teams, won the Coastal Division, like in 7-year span. It was all the teams, all 7 different teams in that division won the division, like Pittsburgh, all those teams, Virginia. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. Every year it was different, and then they got rid of the Coastal. But yeah. And then the Big 10 West. I mean, the difference with the West is that you kind of had your predictable top of the conference, like you had Wisconsin, Iowa, you know. But I get what you mean, though. Like, every team's just kind of mid. And, I mean, I hate to say it because I legitimately think there are a couple of Big 12 teams this year that will be a little bit better than the rest. But it's just not substantial enough. It's not a significant difference. Like the SEC, you've got your gap. You've got your Texas, your Georgia, Alabama, maybe LSU if they're legit, which I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll give them their fair shot against Clemson next week. But, you know, you've got your top of the conference. And then you've got your middle of the pack, and then your bottom feeders. Big 10, you've got Ohio State. You've got Penn State. You got Oregon. Michigan when they're good. You know, and then you've got the rest. You know, Indiana would like to, you know, jump into that group. But then it goes downhill from there. ACC, Clemson, Miami, I guess. You know, I don't know. But then the Big 12, it's like, I mean, Arizona State, Kansas State, Iowa State. I mean, do you see a lot of definitive differences with these programs? They're all the same. Even if one year, like one off year, one of these teams is like somehow way better than the rest of them, it doesn't mean that the program is like significantly better. It just means that you were that much better that one year. And then you kind of revert back to the mean after that. So, I don't know. I agree with you. Big 10 West, ACC Coastal, you can use either or. But the Big 12, it's not special, folks. It's not a special league. It just has a bunch of programs that are all right in it. They're not bad enough to be Group of 5. And they're not good enough to be in the Big 10 and the SEC, so they're in the Big 12. They're just all right. And that's what makes it fun to watch. But people acting like it's anything more than that, I don't get. Then we got a $4.09 on Super Chat from Godfather of the SEC. Appreciate that, Godfather. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Dave Leslie said, I missed the AC Coastal Wheel of Destiny. I do too. It was crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, and then it's okay. Stanford doesn't care until they play Cal. Yeah, they don't. And does that game even matter that much anymore? I hate to say. I love the play. I will always love the play. it's been a running gag, for a long time among me and Jackson and Will and all that. It's great, but yeah, I mean, I don't even know how much that game even matters. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. Honestly, I mean, it's one of those rivalries that, like, in its heyday, when college football was structured differently, and I guess everyone mattered, bowl games mattered. It was a bigger deal, but it's just it's not the same, anymore. It's not the same. Sadly, these type of programs that are just not relevant at all. I mean, like Stanford can't even put out an 8-4 season. They can't even be somewhat relevant. It's just kind of hard in this day and age to really care about them at all. GT says hashtag fire Andrew Luck. That is so hilarious. But I'm going to drop the StreamYard link to you guys in the chat. Again, don't know how long I'm going to be live. Don't want to stay up too late. So, if we get too tired or, it's run its course, definitely will get off here. But definitely would be intrigued to take some of your calls tonight. Appreciate the 2 super chats. All right, if we get to 5 super chats, I will go live again this week. 5 super chats. Definitely appreciate you guys for being here. So glad college football is back. And I think it was a pretty good day. I think it was a pretty good week 0. We already got a lot of storylines to talk about, and maybe we can even start previewing week 1 a little bit with you guys as well. If you guys want to talk about that as well. Also, I've seen in chat people talking about Avery Johnson's family. I've seen that too. So we can talk about that as well. Our first caller of the night, we've got Jackson Johnson. How are you doing, Jackson?
Oh, doing great. It's been a wild day of college football. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Jackson. Definitely still upset I couldn't make the Thursday show. I don't know, man. It was a rough couple days there, but definitely doing better now.
I think the $15 in super chats helped you get the film better from the college show. Hey, especially when it's Caden the Man throwing those chats.
I appreciate Caden the Man. Caden is he's something else, man. I wish I could have been there, especially to talk about the SEC. I made a video today on that as well. The SEC. Oh my goodness, man! Finally going to 9 games. Isn't that crazy? That was a big deal. Well, I didn't really get to hear your thoughts on that, Jackson.
Well, I mean, because I'm not too crazy about what it does for some of the non-conference games. Like, I don't care what it does to Alabama, Boston College, but it makes me worry about what's going to happen to the Alabama Georgia Tech series. And what's going to happen to Bama, Ohio State. Now, I know that there's that rule from Sankey saying that you have to have 1 Power 4 opponent. But I just know there's going to be some movements running around. I mean, gone are going to be the days of South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia, Clemson, and Florida, Miami. To me, that's worse than seeing some breakup in a rom-com.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Honestly, I do. To me, I mean, it had to be done. Like that's just the way I feel about it. Either the Big 10 and the Big 12 were going to go back to 8, and everybody played 8, or the SEC and the ACC need to go to 9. And obviously, they weren't going to go back to 8, the Big 10 and the Big 12. I mean, I would have been okay with that. I mean, obviously, as an Indiana fan as well, I gotta back my boys in Bloomington a little bit. They used to suck. Newsflash, they used to. And I was advocating for them to play 8 conference games. Let's let Indiana have 4 crappy non-conference opponents and then win 2 Big 10 games and make a bowl game at 6-6. So that's what I used to lobby for. But clearly that was not going to occur because once they went to 9, it's about money, right? So these games make more money. That's what they're doing. And yeah, so the SEC now going to 9 is signifying that, that's where it's going from now on. Like the ACC is going to have to make the move, even though the ACC,
they will.
He's saying oh, we're going to keep it at 8 for now. Well, dude, you need
the ACC. They're like Itchy following Charlie on All Dogs Go to Heaven. Wherever Charlie goes, Itchy goes. Wherever the SEC is going, you sure as hell know that's where the ACC is going. They're going to 9 games. It's just a matter of when we're going to get that announcement. And let's be real, I think it's going to be on a slow news day.
Well, they need to do it. You know, I mean, slow news day would be great because like they need some positive press. I mean, the ACC is whimpering right now, man. I mean, they are a couple of I don't want to say like bad moves because they made so many with that deal with ESPN, you know, that media where it's not worth hardly anything compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. They've already made bad moves, but if they don't make a move, if they don't do anything positive to try to save their league, then they will lose their best teams to the other conferences, the SEC or Big Ten, however that shakes out. Because clearly, again, I've said this before, the ACC is the last conference, besides the Big Ten and the SEC, that have brands left. Clemson's a brand. Florida State is a brand. Miami's a brand. North Carolina, I guess people are making it to be a brand. You know, I don't look at North Carolina like I look at those other three, but, you know, maybe I give Miami too much credit because they have sucked forever and they don't even have a legitimate home stadium, but still, Miami's Miami. But the Big 12 doesn't have that. If the ACC loses these teams, they're cooked. I mean, it's over. I mean, I'm sorry, but Pittsburgh just doesn't do it. Boston College doesn't do it. None of those
Pittsburgh did a lot in 1976, but nobody remembers Pitt as a natty contender anymore.
Yeah.
They're like the old timer that sits on the porch drinking. But yeah, like you want to know something funny about Iowa State, Kansas State?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was doing the live stream with Austin Wednesday night, I picked K-State to win 28-24. And I'm finding out on Twitter today that Mark Rogers himself was picking Kansas State to win 27-24.
We were all pretty close. The thing is with this game, because I wasn't feeling it this week, unfortunately, I didn't get to make a prediction on this one fully. But when me and Will did our Big 12 predictions, I do believe we both picked Iowa State. I think we did, but I'd have to go back to clarify that. I don't want to say that because when we did our like record prediction for each team, we kind of like were going through the schedule and like piecing together who the teams were going to lose to. I do believe I had Iowa State winning, but again, don't want to quote myself on that and be wrong. I could be wrong. I might have actually did pick Kansas State, but at the end of the day, we all had a feeling this game was going to probably be in the 20s and a close one-score game, and that's what we got. I mean, I think that you're going to be seeing like rinse and repeat week after week in the Big 12, these type of scores. They're all going to be pretty close games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
How do you feel about the Avery Johnson thing? I'm seeing this in the chat a lot.
Oh,
what do you got to say on that?
On YouTube Shorts and Twitter, I'm like, yeah, I have no words for that.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's like, okay.
Nuts. But like UNLV, I mean, they just had, it's like they were 31-point favorites going into this game against Idaho State, which I was like, that's a piece of crap game. Nobody's going to care about that. It's like, nope.
It was making me laugh, Jackson, because some people on Twitter were like, oh, we're true college football fan because I'm getting Mountain West Network to watch this game. I'm like, okay, I am not getting Mountain West Network to watch this crappy game here. I love college football, but I'm not getting Mountain West Network. I will keep up with it on social media. And yeah, so it was funny seeing the memes though with Dan Mullen, dude. It was like, it was rough. Like it was rough.
Oh yeah, Cousin Eddie's back.
Yeah.
Jenner's full.
Pretty glad he won.
Oh man, that's insane.
Yeah, I'll definitely. You can stay on here, Jackson, but we'll bring on Minnesota Dave real quick if you are still with us, Minnesota Dave. Definitely appreciate you for coming on. So I'll leave Jackson on as well.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing pretty good, Minnesota Dave. Glad college football is back. We already got a lot of storylines.
Oh, it's interesting. You know, that was funny that the Hawaii kicker learned how to just learn how to kick from YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's helpful, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah.
teach you anything.
It works. It really, really works.
The funny thing is too, it when they said his name, I was like half asleep because I was watching the game and sort of like falling asleep doing it because it's like it's fair, it's Hawaii and Stanford. I really don't care. But it was funny when they said the guy's name. I'm thinking to myself at first, I thought, oh, this easily has to be a Stanford alum or a Stanford player.
Mm,
Thinking that okay, he's Asian from Japan, and like, he's pitching for Hawaii, and it's like,
yeah.
well, that's that's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can definitely see how, you would have thought that for sure. I mean, I don't disagree at all. I
Yeah, like you would think,
think that
oh,
was funny too. I don't know if you heard as well, but they were saying that he went to a junior college or whatever in the Midwest for 2 years before being at Hawaii. That was even crazier. So he went to a junior
yeah,
college to learn how to kick, and he learned English as well, all that kind of stuff. It was just crazy they were talking about it.
oh yeah, yeah. It's funny that Hawaii still doesn't have a stadium. Well, they have a
Mm,
sort of stadium. They're still trying to build a decent stadium, one that won't rust easily.
mm, yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest problems they had.
Yeah, Aloha Stadium, that thing just completely rusted apart. I mean, it was cool. Pro Bowl used to be there. It was cool. And Hawaii used to be good, back when they had, Timmy Chang at quarterback and Colt Brennan. In
Hmm.
2000s, they were good. But now, like, after Cole McDonald, they've been rough. And Aloha Stadium's gone. And now they got the makeshift stadium. It's like things have not been good for Hawaii. But usually every year, though, Hawaii gets kind of that spotlight game week 0. They typically do. And
Yeah.
they've won a couple of them recently. I mean, they don't usually play a good team. It's always like Stanford or Vanderbilt or something, but it's like
Hmm.
they've won a couple of these. So good for them. I mean, good for Hawaii, but I think it does speak more to Stanford is still horrible.
Yeah, yeah. Stanford is really, really bad. The fun part about Stanford is watching their band.
Mm,
You ever seen the Stanford band?
mm, absolutely.
Just like the whole thing is just amazingly funny. The a little history about Stanford. Did you know that the tree is not really the mascot of the school? It's the mascot of the band.
Mm,
Because the cardinal is the actual mascot for the school. They
mm.
changed the name from Stanford Indians to Stanford Cardinal, and the band didn't thought the name was bland and boring, so they had the students vote if the new mascot for the band would be either a tree, a French fry, or a manhole cover.
Yeah, I think I see why they picked the tree. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, honestly, that makes sense though, because like Stanford Cardinal and then the tree. I mean, it makes sense why it's separate like that. That's crazy. I did not know that fully. I mean, I do not know that much about Stanford other than their little heyday and the few players they had and coaches that were good. But yeah, I mean that's crazy stuff there. I did not
I
know
would
that.
watch a documentary on the band just
Mm,
for like just for like the history of Stanford because the band is more interesting sometimes than the football team itself. The antics they have gotten into. They're not allowed to play at Notre Dame because they made fun of the potato fandom.
mm.
They're not allowed to play against perform at BYU games because they made fun of like Mormons. They made fun of polygamy. Yeah, because Mormons allow polygamy technically.
Yeah. Hmm.
So they got kicked out, kicked out of
That's crazy.
BYU. They have they did back when the O.J. Simpson trial, they played at the O.J. Simpson trial before they went to the game against USC in Los Angeles back in when the O.J. Simpson trial was going on.
I got a lot of lore then. I mean, that's unreal.
Yeah, they have done some really interesting, crazy stuff. The history of the band, like I said, is funny because originally it's from what I heard, the original band went on strike and just decided to give up because I think the school was cutting funding at the time. So I think they were cutting funding. And then the band is so the band is not the original Stanford band. It's like a prep band, a pep band, and you don't have to know how to play an instrument. People are playing with broken sinks and toilets. It's absolutely hilarious. One of the most interesting things about college football. It's the most college football. One of the most known college football traditions has this band that basically mocks college football traditions.
That's wild. I mean, to me, I think, it's kind of sad when your band is more interesting than your team. But in this instance, though, it's it's not a bad thing, I guess. I mean, it could be a bad thing depending. I mean, they've gotten banned and stuff, but it's cool. It's cool.
It's just hilariously funny. This is they had a huge fight with Oregon. Oregon was trying to ban them for making fun of the endangered species that was an owl that at the time, and it was controversial at the time. And they just had some interesting things. Oh God, who's the who's the guy that started Girls Gone Wild? Well, the guy that started Girls Gone Wild was a USC alum, and they did a salute to him when they played USC.
Wow. That is so crazy. There's so much lore. I appreciate you telling me all this, Minnesota Dave, because I did not know all this stuff. This is wild. I do typically stick more to what's going on on the field with teams more so than a lot of the lore. I mean, I know some lore, but I'd heard a couple things about Stanford band. People are always talking about it, but this is a lot more than I knew.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. They just look up the Stanford band on YouTube, and you would find all the gags and gifs that they basically.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
And they're hilarious. It's now it's the biggest college football tradition that most people don't know about with Stanford. It's the band's lore.
Crazy. Well, definitely. People need to research some more, including myself, about the Stanford band, and maybe eventually soon Stanford football will not suck anymore, and will be just as interesting as their band. I mean, I think Hummus Hero here makes a great point, and I know this, and a lot of people know this too, and he's absolutely 1,000% correct. The funny thing is Stanford has more cash than anyone. They could use NIL collectives to build a juggernaut so easily. But they don't do it. They don't do it, and that it's sad. I mean, I understand that there's not a lot of interest. Appreciate you being here, Jackson. Definitely, I think probably he's got a show to do, but definitely appreciate Jackson for stopping by. But yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're looking at Stanford, though, I mean, the interest isn't there. I guess the fans, the students, there's not enough. And if the fan interest is not there, then they're probably never going to commit to it. I mean, even if there was, they probably wouldn't. I don't know. It's just Stanford will not put money into their football program.
Yeah, they really care more about their Olympic sports. That's one of the
Mm,
biggest things about their history is it's academics and making sure they have, track and field and swimming and pretty much almost all the Olympic sports are have more higher priority than football does.
mm,
Women's basketball is usually always pretty good.
mm,
Um, of course, we know about Stanford baseball being pretty good too,
mm,
but that's pretty much it. They really don't they don't really care all that much about football. And like I said, they don't care until they play Cal. That's all they care about is we have to
mm.
beat Cal. It's a, it's basically it's beat Cal first is their goal, and then the rest is like, well, if we make it to a bowl game, we make it to a bowl game. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem is because again we're in this era now where NIL and the portal, but it's mostly NIL. It matters so much, and like you're seeing other programs put so much money into football because when you put money into football and you're good in football, you get so much money in return. Now I understand that a Stanford, probably, university, person, they would tell me, they was like, well, we've already got a ton of money. We don't need more money from football. But more
Yeah,
money is always a good thing, So it's like if you had a good football program, you put money into it and it gave you results, and then you got a lot of money back from it. Maybe to the point where instead of you being in the ACC, you'd be in the Big Ten. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I mean, that's more money for you. Yeah, you make a lot of money with academics and all that, but you're leaving money off the table when you just have your football program being garbage. Like, I think it's cool that they invest. You don't have to invest as much in Olympic sports because there's not as much competition for it. So it's
yeah.
here to do
It's
that. But I think it's nearsighted of them to not invest in football when, especially being in the ACC, it would be very easy to win.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just the funny part about this whole thing. I mean, I thought if anything, they would have joined the Big 12, even though like the academic standards for the Big
Mm,
12 are very low for like let's say both Cal and Stanford. I mean, you would have raised the academic standards so high if like they joined the Big 12, just in those two schools alone, you
mm,
know. And that's why I was kind of surprised that the Big Ten didn't try to pick them up too,
mm.
instead of.
I thought they actually were. Like, I thought maybe they do the whole West Coast sweep, like, take USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal. I thought they would, but
Mhm.
I mean, I guess again, don't do it because they suck at football. But it's like the schools are worth a lot of money.
Oh
So,
yeah, they're
because
like they're the two biggest research schools in the West Coast.
mm,
I mean, they're reasons why like that Stanford is considered like the Harvard of like the West Coast. It's
mm,
academically it is a very that's the other thing. You still they're maybe trying to invest a little bit more, but it's hard to keep players in NIL when your academic standards are extremely high.
mm.
So
Yeah,
you're
you
getting what
think
you can
about like
get.
a player that's really good, like a 5-star player that maybe academically is really good. You could go
Mm.
to a program like Texas or Georgia or Alabama very easily, make a ton of NIL, and still do good in school and still get a good degree. And you don't even have to work as hard for it. It's still hard work. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still hard work, but like you don't have to put up with what you got to do at Stanford.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're not making as much NIL at Stanford, and the team is bad. I mean, again, no offense to Stanford's quarterback, but he is rough, like legitimately rough. Like, no wonder Frank Reich and Andrew Luck can't figure this thing out. Uh,
Hmm.
there's just, I mean, like I remember people were hyping up Tanner McKee. It's like Tanner McKee was not good either. Stanford has not had good quarterbacks in a long time. It's been a
Yeah. I mean, very long time.
Andrew Luck was good in college, but the team also wasn't trash back then either.
Oh yeah, the team was like perfectly built. I think their
Mm-hmm.
defense was the only thing that was struggling for a little bit, and then that started getting good and keeping up with the team.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one running back that almost won the Heisman?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, was it McCaffrey? And then it was McCaffrey. Then there was another one.
Toby Gerhardt.
Toby Gerhardt is when
him.
they first started getting like really known nationally, started being a good team. It's when Toby Gerhardt like was playing at the time, along with Andrew Luck, and of course, Jim Harbaugh. He did take that team from a 1-10 team, gets a huge upset like on the road against USC.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the biggest upset I think at the time, because I think USC was favored by 40. And then you started getting recruiting better players, and they started being competitive. And I think they almost went to the Rose Bowl the year of Toby Gerhardt. If they didn't lose to Cal, they would have gone to the Rose Bowl that year. And then after that, they were starting being a 10-win, 11-win team for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was really young then with Toby Gerhardt. I was really young then. And then Christian McCaffrey, I was probably like 11 years old. I was like really watching football then. And then like their last gasp was Bryce Love. Like that was like their last gasp of being something. Then after Bryce Love left, they've been trash. I mean, the fall off has been so hard, and they've been terrible, and they're going to suck until they invest. I mean, that's clearly their only chance to win anything and get back to being what they used to be 10 years ago.
That means they have to, if they really want to compete, they have to get the best players that are capable of going to those schools.
Which there's enough that will. I mean, there's enough really, really, really smart, athletic college, football players that would go to Stanford if the NIL was there and the team had a chance to win. I mean, why would anybody? I mean, these are smart guys. Like you're really smart. Like you're not going to be dumb enough to go to Stanford, which again, that sounds oxymoronic to say that when Stanford is such a smart school, but you would not be dumb enough to go to a school that sucks and play football if you're a good player and smart. You're just not do that. You're going to go to a school that is good so you can go to the NFL.
That was the biggest.
Then you can do more with it after your career's over.
Yeah, and maybe also as we have to remember that they were able at one time to compete with like Notre Dame with recruiting. Back when be better. Well, they weren't better than Notre Dame, but that's the other thing. Like if they really want to if they want to be a team that could be a winner, they have to start competing with Notre Dame. And try to get those kids to go to Stanford. And yes, if they can start funding their football team a little bit more, that would help. Like I said, it's especially for a private school. If you need to make some money, you're going to have to try to get it somewhere. You can't always just get it by alumni donations, which they probably get a lot of good donations.
I agree, probably. I mean, I know they got big bucks. It's just they just don't put it toward football. I mean, I've seen some of their games. I mean, like their stadium's like empty. I mean, it's like no one.
Yeah, it was worse back even before you were probably a kid. They had an 85 capacity stadium at one point, and it would be like a quarter of the way full, like most of the time. And it was like that bad at one point. They had the Super Bowl there back in like 85.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's such a bad look when you're playing in a stadium that big. I was watching like UNLV was playing in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and it's like, I mean, you're not even filling up like a fifth of that thing. It just looks bad. Or like the UFL like they're playing in Ford Field up with the Michigan Panthers or whatever, and it's like there's nobody there. You know what I'm saying? Because like the stadium, and you're barely filling it up. Like it would be better if the UFL could find small stadiums that they could at least like fill up to make it look good. I know that's hard, but I bet it would be feasible. But yeah, I mean, if you're playing in a really big stadium and you've got no fans there, that is just embarrassing. That's kind of like, I know if Stephen Cherry's watching, which I think he might have been earlier, but if he's still watching, he's going to be like, he's been waiting for this reference. I haven't even talked about it yet. But Indiana, like if Kurt Signetti, he's trying to get Memorial Stadium to expand, right? They're like, oh, let's expand Memorial Stadium. I think that's awesome. But if they expand to 75K, or it just say that happened, and Indiana football has a 75K stadium, and then Kurt Signetti retires, and then Indiana goes back to sucking, then guess what? You're going to have a 75K stadium that's not even half full, and it's going to look dumb. You know what I'm saying? So that's the fear with that. I mean, you don't want that. So yeah, I mean, Stanford needs to play in a small stadium.
Well, they already. I mean, 50,000 isn't exactly like huge. It only holds about 50,000. So, like in college football, that's like the bare minimum right there.
Yeah, there's like, well, I mean, Oregon State used to be Power 5, but like Oregon State Reeser holds like 35. I mean, it's like small, but yeah, I mean, most like legitimate programs it's at least 50.
Yeah,
like Indiana holds 52. It's 52, like close to 53,000. And it kind of expanded, but yeah.
Yeah, it's then you have like I think the smallest is UConn right now with 38.
Yeah, Utah's small. Rice Eccles the punch, but it's small.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would consider that because they're kind of like a mid-major school. So if anything, I know they're independent, but if anything, they'll probably end up joining the MAC to join up with like UMass. Be a rivalry for like at least for UMass for football.
How much does Minnesota hold again? Because I know
it's about 51. 51. It's a small stadium.
Yeah, so it's
man, Minnesota Cal. That's gonna be a fun one. Like seeing whether if it's gonna be on CW or not.
I think it's on ESPN. I think they actually said it's on ESPN.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's on like ESPN2 or something.
Yeah, Hummus said, how big is where Vandy plays? I know, yeah, their stadium's small too, but into like 40.
Yeah.
Yep, ESPN.
Yeah. Like 40.
ACC After Dark. That's gonna be one of the few Big Ten games on ESPN this year. That's not a playoff game.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're on the road.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, speaking of small stadiums, I think Northwestern's supposed to be the smallest with 35 when they get their new.
I mean, it's definitely little for sure. I mean,
well,
like
it was around like
1 and all, but it's still going to be
49,000 at one point, and now they had to make them even smaller, which is good for them because they don't draw anything, and they draw more away fans than they do home fans.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember when Indiana played at Northwestern last year, it was full of Indiana fans, which, Indiana's got a big alumni base in Chicago anyway. But still, like, it was kind of cool because, like, normally Indiana only does that in basketball. And they play Northwestern on the road in basketball. They fill up the stadium. But it was interesting to see football. Like, Indiana had a bunch of football fans at the game. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's... When they don't have a packed stadium, there's still a lot of away fans. I've been at many Northwestern, Minnesota games at Northwestern. It's always fun to go to Chicago and any reason to go. So I've been like to 4 Northwestern games watching them play, and that stadium was such a dump.
Yeah, a lot of people said it was. Yeah.
It was
Ryan Field. Like Ryan Field, it sounds more like Charlie Brown Field than an actual stadium. It
was worse. It was worse. It was called Dyke Stadium.
That's bad. Oh man.
It was worse. It didn't even have like indoor plumbing. It had like biffies right on the side.
That's unreal. That is honestly pathetic. Again, Northwestern, big academic school, but like your football stadium is garbage.
It was so
Now, like Hummus
bad.
said, the new Ryan Field will be small but state of the art. Well, good for them.
Yeah.
And maybe when you visit next time, it will be good.
Yeah. Depending on how good they will be, because they're always the most yo-yo, football team ever.
Yeah, like they got the new coach that they have right now, David Brown or whatever. And it's like the thing is the guy, had the good first year. And I'm like, yeah, cool, but he's in the West. It's going to end.
Yeah.
But once they consolidate this thing into the entirety of the Big Ten, it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
Lucky to win 6. I mean, that's every team's goal. No, Steve. No. Cignetti is not going to Alabama. As cool as that be for Alabama, Alabama can get somebody else. Leaving.
That sounds some crap I heard from Stephen A. Smith when he was saying like Alabama's better off with Deion Sanders, like literally saying that in the Feinbaum. I'm like, you're
how can you even take that seriously?
I think honestly, he just kind of says that kind of stuff to hear himself talk, but then he'll probably go vent to his political buddies, which
dude, I mean that would be one of the worst hires ever if Alabama hired Deion. Like Cignetti is way better hire than Deion. I just don't want that to happen. I mean, as much as I love Alabama, I want Alabama to have a different coach than Curt Cignetti. Indiana deserves Curt Cignetti after 100 years of failure.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, it's funny. You guys just complain about having just a 9-3 season, and I would just kill to have a 9-3 season. That's that's the difference between.
Yeah, I mean, like Minnesota going having the
11-win
year, like that was the anomaly, right? With with Tanner Morgan and all that was a great year. But that's how Indiana felt with Penix. It was like it was just a one-off, and then with Cignetti, it feels like maybe it could be a sustainable. But like in Alabama, it's the norm, it's the standard. I mean, we're spoiled. I mean, and like going 9-4, it's like, we'll be fine. Like Minnesota, like Indiana, those type programs, like to have great seasons like that, it's like it feels like it's once in a blue moon.
So it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I had to sit for a lot of garbage football back in my days. I remember like going to the games at the Metrodome, a place that has absolutely no atmosphere whatsoever. Literally, no one went to the games. And we were always win maybe like 3 games. And if we beat like Iowa that year or Wisconsin, it was like the greatest thing ever.
Absolutely.
And I just remember when Jim Wacker was the coach, and like we would get season tickets, and every time we would play Iowa or Wisconsin, literally, guys, there was more Wisconsin fans or Iowa fans in the Metrodome some games. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it sucks. Like you never want that to happen. You never want to be invaded. I mean, I remember that year, right after the good season Indiana had in, 2020, the 2021 year, Penix, that all went downhill. But they played Cincinnati though. That the year Cincinnati made the playoffs, and Indiana was still somewhat relevant in that game. But yeah, they ended up losing because I think the Micah McFadden targeting that was not targeting really turned the tide in that game. But like Indiana was proud to announce a sellout for that game, and it was like, yeah, it was a sellout, but like 40% of the fans were Cincinnati, like 45% were like Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like when Indiana, when they started getting blown out at the end, and the Indiana fans left, Cincinnati they just took over the thing. It's like you don't want to see that. Like, you don't want to.
Yeah. Oh,
you want your stadium to be sold out like 95% you.
yeah. I went to an Iowa game in the Metrodome where Iowa ripped up down our goalpost. Our goalpost. Iowa fans stormed our field, ripped down our goalpost, and tried to get sneak it out of the Metrodome. If it wasn't for security, they would have gotten it out.
That's unreal.
And having it our field.
That is unreal. Well, I mean, Cliff Moses has it worse than all of us, though. 1972 to 97. Oregon State didn't win more than 5 games a season.
Ugh.
I mean, that's a long time to suck. I mean, Indiana had a bad stretch from like 93 to 07. I mean, outside of Randall L., like they were really bad then. But I don't think Indiana's ever had a stretch that long where they didn't win at least 6 games once.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time to suck, dude.
Yeah, it's
one like 01 that Oregon State had the good year was 01, right? That's when they turned.
2000, yeah, that's
2000.
2001 was the disappointing season.
Yeah, 2000, yeah, got it one off, but yeah, 2000. I remember they had a good year, and like and since then Oregon State's been a little more relevant, but yeah, they're dead now.
It's amazing how a former Wisconsin coach destroyed a whole entire college football team. Anderson leaves to go to Wisconsin and leaves Wisconsin to go to Oregon State and just totally destroys.
Like my mind was completely blown that day when I found out about Gary Anderson leaving for Oregon State. I'm like, you're leaving Wisconsin for Oregon State.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's crazy.
Wisconsin's not like that much better, but they're way better than Oregon State.
Like, my God.
That's crazy.
It was hilarious, and I was like
and he left like midway through the season, like foregoing $12 million in his third year. It's like I don't think his wife was all that happy hearing that.
Yeah. And PJ,
that's like Peter Griffin taking the mystery box instead of the boat.
But we can have a boat.
Oh man.
The mystery box could be anything. It could be a boat.
I love that episode. That is so funny.
Oh man.
You got Quagmire, man, just going in circles. Like, it's great, man. It's so good. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's just some really dumb decisions that have been made in human history. That happens. I mean, we all.
I don't think I'd
I'm sure we all do, but sometimes there's just colossal bad decisions.
Yeah, didn't Barry Switzer made a horrible decision by leaving Miami? Because after that, he had a hard time coaching.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Then you go to the new the UFL or something like that back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it didn't even work out at the time. They ended up, and I think
the $1 win in court.
I think one of the funniest facts about the UFL, if I recall, I think the president was involved with that back in the 80s.
Yeah, he was.
Yes,
it's just hilarious to me.
Yeah, he was trying to make it to where it was gonna be like the AFL, but it's like, I mean, kudos for trying, but that was not gonna happen.
I mean, they had some, and I repeat, some good players, but all those guys ended up going to the NFL.
Yeah, Flutie played there for a while too. I think he started his pro career in the UFL because he wasn't going to be drafted by the NFL because of his height.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely true. Mm-hmm.
And he ended up having a good career with Buffalo. Not great, but a good career with Buffalo when he played with Buffalo.
Yeah, it was remarkable what he did with his size. I mean, you can win being really short, but it's not easy. It's significantly harder.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend that like was the Division II like leading scorer for most of the year playing for Minnesota Duluth. And he was lucky to get a tryout with an NFL team because he was basically 5'7". He's just it sucks. You can have all the talent, but you just can't like coach height. And height's important.
Yeah, absolutely. On Hummus Hero said, I thought Flutie played in Canada. He did. So what happened was, and I do remember this because you are right, Minnesota Dave. He started out in the USFL, in '85. He played for the New Jersey Generals. Then he went to the NFL for brief. Then after that, he went up to Canada, and then I think after that he went back to the NFL.
Oh yeah, I forgot he played.
Yeah, he played in Canada. He played for like BC, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. He played for
Yeah, he's winning all those Grey Cup titles.
Oh yeah, he did really, really well. I remember.
He played in Canada for 7 years. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know it was that long, but I just looked it up. He played there. He played in Canada for 7 years.
Oh yeah. Well, and he got screwed out of the starting job over in favor of Rob Johnson for the Buffalo Bills. But oh well, it was their loss.
I followed Hamilton Tiger Cats when I lived in Canada. That was my team when I lived in like Oakville. We were in between like Toronto and Hamilton, and the Hamilton had like their only professional team is like the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They were kind of like the closest thing to maybe like they were a steel town. Like that's the Canadian steel town. So they were kind of like had like a Pittsburgh Steelers colors too. And I think their owner was the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs for a while.
Yeah, that's cool on that.
Oh man, Steven Cherry making us laugh tonight.
Yeah, somebody wake up Kane the Diesel Freak. Yeah, some people like that. Some people would not. We'll see if he comes around. He's always welcome if he wants to. But I will say though, on the Canadian front, you mentioned that the jerseys look the same, right, as the Steelers. Mm-hmm. The other one, I'm trying to remember what team it is, but there's one that looks, because I watch the Canadian Football League sometimes. There's one that looks exactly like the Packers. They got the same color scheme as the Packers.
That's gosh. Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, Edmonton. They look exactly. I thought it was that. I couldn't remember for sure. But
Yeah.
The Packers. They got the green and yellow, and I'm like, it's literally the Packers colors. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're like the Elks these days, I believe.
Yeah, so, they used to be the Eskimos, and I think they changed their name.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's see. Oh.
When I watch the Canadian League, one of the funniest things about it to me is how the receivers just like they start running, and then right before they cross the line, they snap the ball. But like they just start taking off running. I think like that visually just looks a lot different because obviously in America, like you stand there, snap the ball. But like they just start taking off running, and right before they cross the line, they snap it.
I think it's they're allowed to go on the second hike.
Yeah.
Then it's weird, and it's 3 downs instead of 4. That's the other thing,
3 downs, and then also that
it has weird. It has the center, and the end zone yard lines. Yeah. And like the end zone is like 15 yards instead of 10.
Yeah, and the goalpost is at the beginning of the end zone.
Yeah.
Like, what? It looks wrong, but it's kind of cool. I mean, I just imagine like a guy running right into the goalpost though as he's running to the end zone. But
they have. Someone runs that flat the wrong way to hit the post.
It's a nice change of pace. I turn it on in the summer sometimes when it's on because like they put games on CBS Sports Network all the time, so I'll turn it on.
Yeah, it's they're fun to watch on occasion. I mean, I'll watch like the Grey Cup game and the title. Like that's that's of course the title game.
Mm.
Then other than that, I just don't really have that much interest anymore as I used to. Hamilton was good when I went, and then I remember Toronto Argonauts had my former, the Gophers' former quarterback from the mid '80s, Ricky Foggy, and he won a Grey Cup with the Toronto Argonauts.
That's cool. It kind of seems to me like the Canadian League, I don't know, I could be wrong on this assessment, but like back in the 90s, 80s, they had better players, I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but like when I watch the product, it doesn't seem that much better than like the UFL. I mean, it's just all right, like a lot of the players are just okay. You see a lot of guys from like the FCS, in it. You know what I'm saying? Like some bigger names, kind of every now and then, like a guy from Oklahoma or something. But it's a lot of FCS guys, Canadian players. I don't know. It's not a great product. I like football, so I'll watch it if it's on. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's that good either anymore.
Yeah, I think there's only one guy I know, and it was just because it was a huge money that decided to go to Canadian football instead of going to the NFL, and started his career there. Was Rocket Ishmael. Like he got more money from Toronto. Basically said, "Hey, if you just come play for us instead of going to the NFL, we'll give you some more money." And he decided to go play in the Canadian Football League for a short while before he went to the NFL.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure that would not ever happen today at all whatsoever, but that's wild. So definitely crazy with Canadian Football League and Week 0 college football, but definitely I think we got another caller on the line. You got anything else for us, Minnesota Dave? Definitely love chatting with you tonight for sure.
Oh, it's nice talking to you guys. I just kind of lost track of time myself, so yeah. Nothing really else. I'll talk to you guys later.
Appreciate it, Minnesota Dave. Definitely hope to talk to you soon and can't wait for a great college football season. Good luck to the Golden Gophers. Hopefully they have a really good year in the Big Ten.
Thank you. See you later, guys.
You're very welcome. Appreciate it, Minnesota Dave. You have a good one.
Bye.
So our next caller on the line tonight, we've got the real MVP coming in. Definitely always excited to hear what Darrell MVP has got to say. So how are you doing tonight, Darrell?
I'm doing well. How about you two, gentlemen?
Fantastic.
Great Week 0.
Yeah. Far. I mean, it is a great Week 0. I mean, Stanford on 0-12 watch for probably the rest of the season. I'm not joking. This is look at their schedule. This is the least talented team they play, and it's really not even close. It's sad, pathetic. They lost to a one-legged quarterback and a kicker that learned how to kick a football on YouTube.
What's more pathetic? The kicker learning how to kick on YouTube or the one-legged quarterback?
I think all of it's kind of pathetic. I think Stanford should just stick with academics going forward. Become spelling bee national champion. Program.
Frank Reich needs to retire. Andrew Luck just sadly give up and just retire Stanford football.
Yeah, they're a joke. I mean, this is why the ACC is not an irrelevant conference. This is why it's going to be going forward. You beat Stanford. Woo! Speaking of teams that stink, UNLV. Did you see that game? Let me tell you. Idaho State, I think, listen, there might need to be some gambling investigation into Idaho State's quarterback. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback intentionally throw interceptions to UNLV, but I believe that's what happened during that game. I mean, some of those throws were the worst throws you'll ever see in your entire life. He threw one. It was like first and three, goal to go for Idaho State. He threw it up. There was 4 UNLV jerseys around and won Idaho State. And it was like a flutter ball to where it was like hanging up there for 15 seconds. Oh, it was so bad. And then my favorite, though, is one possession. He tried to throw a pick. The UNLV defender dropped it because UNLV defense is terrible. Literal next play, he throws an interception. And then don't worry, the possession after that, he also threw an interception.
So what you're trying to tell me is that this dude intentionally threw the game is what you're trying to tell me.
I mean, this is worse than Deuce Hogan. I saw Deuce Hogan today for Nicholas, and I thought, man, this guy's much better than the guy I saw for Idaho State. Much better.
Well, that's sad if he did. I mean, you had a shot to destroy Dan Mullen's coaching career again, and you blew it. I guess for possible gambling. we got no proof of that, but the real MVP coming in was a hot.
Don't blame me. I'm just saying that's what it. I'm saying that's how bad he played. I'm not saying.
I know. I'm not saying it legitimately. I'm being sarcastic. No. But it's funny though to think about that because I mean, Idaho State had this game. I was keeping up with it. I don't have Mountain West Network. Obviously, you do.
You can have the app on your phone. If you download the Mountain West app, you get it for free.
I didn't even know that. So I didn't know like if you had to pay for it or something.
No, it was free.
You know that. But yeah,
just watch the highlights and you'll see the plays I'm talking about and just think, man, would anybody make that throw? Anybody? And the answer is probably no. I mean, he literally. I mean, the one on the goal line situation is the worst throw I've ever seen in the history of the sport. And that's saying a lot because I saw Iowa for the last 5 years play football, okay? For me to say it just this unequivocally, it was bad. I mean, it's just like, wow. I mean, I knew FCS football was bad. I didn't realize it was that bad. Like, oh my goodness, guys. It was horrendous. But it's almost as bad as UNLV's defense because when they didn't try to throw interceptions to the opposing team, UNLV would just leave some guy 20 yards open. Like there was a play, it was like third down or something, and Idaho State just fluttered it up there. The ref was the only person on the screen for the entire play, and the Idaho State defender, he just blocked in 20 yards out to get into the end zone.
Yeah, I saw that. I even tweeted about that because it's so funny. Literally, the dude caught the ball. There's no UNLV defender for like 30, 40 yards. And the only guy I wrote on Twitter, I was like, the ref is Dan Mullen's only hope. And the ref, he actually almost stopped the guy. He almost did, legitimately, but he couldn't stop him. He got out of the way a little bit. And the dude scored. But yeah, I look at this dude's stat line. So the quarterback for Idaho State, Cook, he was 30 of 50 for 380, 1 touchdown and 3 picks. So he threw 3 picks in the game.
And they were bad picks. And probably could have had a few more if UNLV had hands on their defenders. Some of them had feet for hands out there. It felt like how much they were dropping balls. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe the FCS, the lower rung of the FCS, is just that bad because I don't watch hardly any FCS football outside the elite teams. But I didn't realize the stark talent drop off. It looked like high school teams could be out there and beat some of these FCS teams if that's truly their capability.
I think the problem is, Drew, I think it's 2 problems. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I think 2 issues of why that could be the case is number one, because, we have such a, high level of, like expectations for teams, we see how well teams play. And, overall, right? There are bad even FBS programs, but overall, like the talent, there's some guys on every team that are quality, that give you quality football product. And like you said, that carries over to the FCS with programs like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, James Madison when they were in the FCS, teams like that. So that's number one. So you're not really watching the really crappy FCS. And I think number 2 is the fact that the FBS keeps getting more FCS teams. So you're taking more FBS programs, turning them into FCS. So it's like, and most of the ones that have been taken are good. Not all. There's been a couple of weird ones, but most of them have been pretty good. So I guess that's like lowering the brand of the FCS. And I guess another kind of reason as well would be the fact that now, like FBS, you're expanding roster and NIL and all this is involved. So it's like teams that are way down the rung that have basically like no NIL, and like you got all these better players playing on better teams, that it leaves like no good players for these crappy programs. I don't know if any of that even makes sense at all whatsoever.
No, it makes perfect sense, and it would explain why Idaho State was so terrible when it was literally we got somebody wide open, or we're going to run the ball a bunch, and they can't do anything to stop us, or we look like we've never seen football in our entire lives. I mean, it was such stark contrast; it was insane. The Kansas Fresno State game, Jalen Daniels is going to get hurt eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like saying that. I don't wish injuries on anybody. He just took hit after hit after hit in this game, and I'm thinking, man, he just got off an injury. This is an injury-prone player. I mean, this game doesn't even matter for Kansas football. I don't even know why you would risk him getting hurt in this type of game. Let's say Kansas lost this game to Fresno State. Playoff odds aren't impacted at all. Their chances to win the Big 12 is not impacted by all. So for them to do the strategy of going all out today to win a meaningless game, ridiculous in my opinion. If you want to give him some reps, throw the ball, run out of bounds, and not get hit, that's fine. Don't run him up the middle and get sandwiched by two defenders. It's ridiculous.
I agree with that, and that's why I don't know if you saw the beginning of the stream when I was before I took calls. I was talking about this game, and I put an asterisk on it. I was like, okay, Kansas, and Jalen Daniels were great today, and Jalen Daniels looks back. And if Jalen Daniels stays healthy, Kansas could be a threat to win the Big 12 possibly. But I'm not confident Jalen Daniels is going to survive either. Because, like you said, he took a lot of hits, and the guy's been hurt a lot. I mean, he's had so many injuries. I mean, I think you might have watched. I think you might have saw our quarterbacks list. I didn't have Jalen Daniels anywhere near the top 10 of our list. I don't even think I had him in the honorable mentions. But I did say that a couple years ago I would have had Jalen Daniels easily in my top 10. But Jalen Daniels has fallen off because he can't stay healthy, kind of like Cam Rising at Utah. But the thing is that he looked back. He looked back today, and that's good. But if he keeps running the way that he is, I think he's going to be cooked by middle of the season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Stanford also, by the way. They got spotted 10 points in this game and still lost. They got spotted 10 points by Hawaii and lost this game. I mean, that is just, man. I mean, they're still, I was checked last night with Jackson and Austin's show. They're favored to win 4 ACC games according to ESPN's FBI, but to lose this game. Think about that. An average ACC team, according to ESPN, is supposed to lose to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's how rough the ACC is right now. Yeah, that's a problem.
This is why conferences shouldn't have 4 or 2 or 5 auto bids going for. Just throwing that out there. Final game I actually did see was the Western Kentucky Sam Houston game. Western Kentucky looks good. They just
still can score.
Yeah, and they completely. I know it says 41-24. Sam Houston couldn't do nothing this game. Like, they just got completely shut down in that second half. Outside of a weird touchdown that Sam Houston had at the beginning of the second half, they couldn't do nothing all game. Western Kentucky was clearly the better team, start to finish. No doubt in mind. I mean, to me, they're the favorite to win Conference USA now because, let's be honest, everybody in that league is crap. The only real contenders is Liberty, Western, and Jack State.
Yeah.
So I like Western right now to win that league.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, I think the thing that's been so impressive for Western Kentucky, I mean, they've kind of buck the odds of, a mid-major, not mid-major basketball, group of 5, program, a smaller program where they lose coaches, coordinators on a regular basis, but yet they're still able to churn out a consistently good product. And that's kind of what App State was doing there for a long time. App State's kind of falling off, but App State was doing that for a consistent while, where losing coaches, losing, coordinators, losing players, and they just keep winning. Because I think how Western Kentucky wins too, like their offense. I mean, they've had, Zappy, Austin Reed, several different quarterbacks, and they're putting up just ridiculous numbers.
Right.
Their quarterback right now, I think his name is Maverick McIver. He threw for 401 yards today. I mean, that's just what they do. Like quarterbacks at Western Kentucky throwing for 400 yards. I remember when they played Indiana a couple years ago. Indiana beat them with Tom Allen. It was a crappy game by Indiana, but they won. Like on a field goal, but the quarterback for Western Kentucky threw for a whole bunch of yards. That's just what they do.
Doesn't the quarterback name for Western Kentucky MacGyver? He sounds like a character from James Bond, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does.
Man.
I just couldn't help but think about that the whole time I was hearing his name. But Delaware's in that conference now, along with
Conference USA,
with Missouri State. So I don't know.
The sad thing is about realignment is that how the Pac-12 dissolved, and now they're trying to recreate it and all that, which is it's dead. But the Pac-12 died, and the Big 12 and the ACC are on shaky ground. The Big Ten SEC have gotten so strong. It's made these smaller conferences weaker. Because the American Conference used to be the Power 6. Well, it's nothing. The Power 5's dead, so the Power 6 is really dead. So the American Conference has declined, and Conference USA has declined. I mean, the fact that you've got Delaware and Missouri State joining your conference, that's a joke. I'm sorry. Sorry to those schools. Sorry to people that went to those schools. That's a joke.
Well, they added Kennesaw State last year.
That they have to add teams to keep your conference legitimate, but it's a cycle. That's what I'm saying. The FCS is growing weaker every time a team leaves it for the FBS because the FBS keeps growing, right? So all that's going to do, what if North Dakota State and South Dakota State and all those teams?
Well, those are actually good programs.
Yeah, they are.
Like them, I just don't get why these crappy FCS programs are joining the FBS.
I don't get it either, Darrell. It makes no sense to me, but I still think overall it hurts the FCS, even if their crappy teams are leaving. I think.
But it to me it just hurts both leagues because you're delegitimizing the FBS as well. Because Conference USA was a joke a few years ago. Now it's just a complete joke. Like, can you click on Western Kentucky's schedule? Like, I'm curious because if they don't play Liberty or Jack State. I'm not
sure. Liberty. Conference USA plays everybody.
They do?
I think.
I don't know because they add teams every year, so I don't know what they do.
All right, so Western Kentucky. Let's see what they got there.
Oh no, they don't have Liberty. That's a shock.
They've got North Alabama up next at Toledo versus Nevada. At Missouri State, at Delaware, versus FIU, at Louisiana Tech, versus New Mexico State, versus Middle Tennessee State, at LSU, and at Jacksonville State.
Of course.
2 toughest games of the final.
Right. The crazy part is outside of LSU, they play maybe every team that is like 100th ranked or worse. Maybe outside of Toledo and Jack State.
Louisiana Tech used to be.
They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad now.
They were good with Skip Holtz for a bit.
No, they're awful. Yeah. And a lot of these teams are in the 130s.
Nevada was good with Carson Strong, but
speaking of Nevada, I saw they were advertising this new branding for the Big Ten that's called Big Time, and they have a bunch of coaches going Big Time for the CBS 3:30 game, and it shows the game. It's Nevada at Penn State. Nothing like Big Time football like Nevada at number 2 Penn State. Everybody's just going to be riled up.
Penn State's favored by like 50.
Right.
Toledo decent for Western Kentucky, and Toledo
Toledo. I've got Toledo making the playoffs. They're a good team.
Yeah, that's their. I forgot about them. So that's a decent game actually. Western Kentucky at Toledo. It's a decent game.
Right, but my point is, outside if they didn't play LSU and played a cupcake, they could go 12-0, and I don't think they should make the playoffs, even at expanded at 12, because of just how garbage that schedule is outside of LSU.
Yeah, the big time thing. I mean, all that is, man. They're just hyping up that slot, man. Like you said, that's all it's about. I mean, they know that everyone knows that game's a joke, but they gotta put a game with Ohio State, Penn State, somebody of that Michigan, whatever of that caliber, and just pit them against nobody because it's gonna get ratings. That's all it's about is just ratings. I mean, it's like when they put Ohio State, Purdue, or Ohio State versus whatever on Fox, big noon game. You know, that's all. It's just dumb. It's a stupid game. It's going to make more money than an actual like good game, you know, between two good programs, but they're not money makers like Ohio State.
Right. Well, to me, CBS, their contract, they had the worst contract negotiations maybe in the history of college football. They went from the SEC on CBS game, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU, Bama, Georgia, Florida, all of those games to Nevada, Penn State, Arkansas State, Michigan, Minnesota, Michigan. You know, they went from these tier 1 games, unequivocal top 10 matchups to, I mean, it's the 4th or 5th best game of the week. Most weeks.
And the funny thing about it is, Darrell, is that how much money are they losing from that?
Probably a lot.
That's the thing that's so funny about this, because while I agree with you 1,000% that the quality of game they've declined hard, the quality of revenue that they're making probably hasn't.
No, I think it has, because they're paying more. They're paying more money to see a crappier product, and people are like, man, you got the NBC night game, which is going to be pretty good. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes they have Charlotte versus, who was that one year? Charlotte versus Michigan or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Last year, no, Charlotte, Maryland was the night game last year.
Oh, yeah, on NBC.
Right.
All the good games were on the road.
Right. So sometimes they have that, but normally they have a good night game. And then CBS is just, I just feel so sorry for them, because you know that SEC on CBS 3:30 would roll around, Alabama LSU or Alabama Tennessee would roll, and you get hype. Now it's just complete dead. Like the 3:30 window is, it went from a decent window to probably the worst window now, because everything is either the noon game, which is the Fox big time game, or the 7:30 window, and there's nothing on at 3:30 outside of crap.
That is a good point. I agree. I do agree. I mean, they had the game of the week essentially. You know, the SEC game of the week, which is basically the best game of most weekends, to a lot worse game, because like you said, the bigger games are probably going to go for the Big Ten on Fox and then the NBC night game. I agree with that. I still don't think that the revenue they're going to be making from those games is that big of a drop off. I still don't believe that, but it does hurt somewhat, but it obviously isn't hurting enough, or they wouldn't have done it. You know, they wouldn't have signed the contract. I mean, I don't think they can't be that stupid. They're still going to get some games. I mean, like for example, last year, I mean, like even Hum is saying right there, CBS gets decent games. Michigan at Indiana was a good game.
Yeah, they had that game, and they had
That's a good game.
Michigan. That was the only 2 games that was like top 5 games of the week.
That Michigan at Indiana game had a lot of daggum ratings. It had of ratings. Like,
but before
that
it was
a massive game.
That's my only point. Before it was basically every week for like week 3 to week 12, and it's now 2 or 3 weeks throughout the season because the Big Ten doesn't have as much depth as the SEC, unfortunately for them, and that's why it's gone that way. Final thing I'll mention, Jeffrey, because I haven't been able to talk to you about this, is did you see Reese Davis's comments about the Big Ten playoff expanding to the playoffs expanding to 28 teams?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't really read much into it because, unfortunately, I was a little under the weather earlier this week, so I didn't. Was that today? Because I didn't really see a lot on it, but I did hear someone talking about it on social media. but I did not.
They mentioned it like a week ago now.
It was a week ago. Okay.
Yeah, but Reese Davis
Gee.
commented on it today. You have 7 Big Ten teams, 7 SEC, 5 Big 12, 5 ACC, 2 Group of 5, and the rest is at large. And according to Heather Dinich, this is a very serious proposal, or a serious proposal by the Big Ten.
I mean, again, you know how I feel. Like I'm over it, man. Like I'm so done with the expansion. I don't want crappy teams in the playoff, but obviously they're gonna want to put crappy teams in the playoffs. I mean, like I said, I think what is so dumb is, again, people complained about Indiana, SMU being in the playoffs, but you expanded the playoffs to allow teams to get in. So now what you're gonna do, if you're having 28 teams, you're gonna have 8 and 4 crappy Iowa in the playoffs. And
Jeffrey, you're not thinking big enough. You're not thinking large enough. 7 and 5 teams guaranteed in the playoff. That's where you need to go. Baylor and Michigan guaranteed into the playoff at 7 and 5. Okay, we need to see Baylor take on Ohio State. How do we know right now that the Big 12 is worse than Ohio State? We can't definitively say that unless we have a mid Big 12 team go to Ohio State.
Well, I mean, we can definitively prove that, Darrell, because we have intelligible knowledge enough to know that, whereas maybe certain individuals don't.
Have you seen the people on Big 12 Twitter?
I think most people know what would happen 99.9% of the time if that would occur. It would be a blowout loss for the Big 12.
So, but have you seen Big 12 Twitter? They're everything's a conspiracy theory.
Big 12 Twitter, honestly, Big 12 Twitter is getting it's bad. Like, they have to know. They have to know that their conference is mid. It's mid. It's over. You're not competing at the Big Ten SEC level. Did you see the question? I was watching earlier today. They asked the question on the major media network. They said, will the ACC or the Big 12 win a national championship in the next 10 years? And the guy answered and said, yes, it will happen. Clemson might do it this year. And I'm just like, yeah, you better hope Clemson does it this year, because after that, they might not be in the ACC anymore. It's not likely, dude. I'm just saying, it's not likely that the Big 12 or the ACC are going to, especially if the ACC loses Clemson, a couple other programs, they're not going to be winning anything. They're not going to be getting anywhere near winning a national championship, because they're not going to have any programs that can win a national championship in this modern day. The way the rules are, the way everything is set up and everything. It's not going to occur at all.
Yeah, but have you thought, Jeffrey, maybe it's just all rigged in favor of the SEC and Big Ten? That's what I've heard them say. It's just basically all rigged. The recruiting rankings, the polls, the preseason polls have influence over the regular season, everybody's interpretation. And then, the games happen, and then you justify the rankings based on who wins and who loses. Have you thought about that, Jeffrey? And maybe the Big 12 is just getting completely screwed. And maybe there is like a Texas Tech team out there that could win it all. Have you thought about that?
Yeah. I've definitely, thought about that, Darrell. I mean, the thing that's so funny, Darrell, to me is that all you got to do is look on social media. I know this is probably the stupidest example. It's going to make the chat cringe at me so hard right now. All you got to do, as much as I love Indiana, man, and this does not ultimately matter on everything at the end of the day, all you got to do is look at Twitter followers, man. Has anybody seen how many Twitter followers Alabama football has? Does anybody see how many Twitter followers Ohio State football has? And then how many Twitter followers Iowa State football has? Or Indiana? Or Baylor? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that that's ultimately be-all and end-all here, but typically when you're a mid-program, you've got 200,000 followers. 150,000, 250,000. And when you're an elite program, you've got 1 million. You got 2 million. I mean, again, that is a dumb example, but that kind of proves to you that the Big 12 is kind of mid. They don't have an elite program with a massive fan base and just NIL pouring in. Maybe Tech because of oil or whatever they got going for them. But you know what I'm saying? I get it. have a brand team with a massive fan base like the SEC and the Big Ten, and barely ACC hold on right now.
I get it. You know, I'm educated unlike these people. It feels like I understand basic reality. I don't need the reality stone to understand this reality that we're in, but they do apparently. It's gonna be great in like 4 weeks or I would say 4 months, when the Big 12 team gets absolutely hammered because of straight seeding, because they don't have that cover to protect them this year. It's going to be beautiful. Final thing I'll say, since I've been rambling on too much, is Kansas State Iowa State game. Perfect representation of the Big 12 in total. Sloppy, crappy, horrendous game. Fumbles, muff punt, muff punt. Just terrible. I mean, it's just an awful game to watch.
That sequence, Darrell, where you had the muff punt and then like a couple plays later, the pitch back fumble, that was ugly, dude.
Oh man, like I know like Kansas State got clowned for that fourth down call, but I know that if Iowa State didn't get the fourth down call to basically seal the game, they'd have gotten clowned for not getting it.
Well, those are both, to me, what we just saw was two teams that either played in some of the worst conditions I have ever seen in a football game, where I guess they put butter on the ball during the timeouts and stuff. It looked that bad. Or these are just two 8-4, 7-5 football teams that are overranked at the beginning of the year, and they'll be unranked at the end of the year. We'll look back at this matchup and think, man, why did we have this much respect for these two teams?
I mean, I agree. I don't disagree with anything you just said, and I think this comment from Mama Zero is perfect representation of what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah, they're like
does have a lot of dedicated fan bases. They got fans. 250,000 Twitter followers is not bad, but they're not massive. They're not Alabama. They're not Texas. They're not Ohio State, Michigan. They're not, and they never will be. They are good programs, but none of them have the brand power of what they lost.
Right.
Texas, Oklahoma. Your conference, back in the 80s and 90s, every conference had a team or two that was elite. So it kind of kept it somewhat competitive and fair, that none of the conferences really had that significant of an advantage, even if there were times when a conference had a significant advantage, like the Pac-12 maybe, or when the SEC started to take over. But it was kind of evenish. Now it's clear. SEC, Big Ten. It doesn't matter who's better. SEC, a lot of people think's better. Big Ten people are saying the Big Ten's better now. They're both really good. They both have tons of great teams. They got tons of money. I mean, I think overall, again, it's probably SEC, but it's like they're right here, man. They're right here, and it's going to keep doing this probably for a while. I don't know. The Big Ten's got a ton of money, but the teams below the top, I agree, maybe, like a Minnesota, sorry, Dave, a Minnesota or an Indiana, as good as Cignetti turned around in a year, are they at like South Carolina, Arkansas? I don't know. Probably not, but overall, those two conferences, great.
Right. I just wouldn't be so offended if these Big 12 fans stopped running their mouth and acted like everything's rigged against them and everybody's out to get them and played the victim mentality.
Well, the NIL in the modern day in college football is out to get them because it kind of destroyed their conference. I mean,
but I mean that's their
like the Pac-12, but
it's not
they lost Texas, Oklahoma.
My issue is they can claim everything's a conspiracy theory. And, they just say a bunch of things that sound cool and sound like it could possibly be true, but they got no evidence to back it up. It's like it's wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle is what they talk about.
Yeah, there's no depth. I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, I think it's great that they're so passionate about their league, and I think it's great that the Big 12 survived and the Pac-12 didn't, even though the Pac-12 is trying to come back, but it still is not the Pac-12.
Yeah, it's not.
Again, that's cool. The Big 12, they banded together, and they've got some decent programs. I mean, they do. They've got some decent programs. I mean, like Thomas said, Utah, K-State, BYU, Oklahoma. I mean, some of these teams have, solid fans. I mean, they sell out stadium. BYU's a good place to play.
Yeah.
When they're good, especially. I mean, it's a good stadium. It's good atmosphere, but it's not Alabama. It's not Michigan at all. It's not even close. And it never will be. I mean, Rice Eccles is small. Like Minnesota Dave mentioned earlier, it's like 38,000 fans. It's a small stadium. It packs a punch, but it's small. They're literally a mid-major program that got good because of Urban and Whittingham. That's it. I mean, they were a mid-major. Or I keep saying mid-major, but a group of 5. You know what I mean. They're not power. And it's just, it's sad, but it's facts. I mean, like I said, I respect that they care and love their conference so much, but it is getting to the point where it's like they're just denying everything just to whatever. You know, they have no argument.
Right.
They're just saying it to say it.
Right, exactly. This was a good slate of games. Can't wait for next week. Thanks for having me on, you two.
Oh, absolutely, Drew. Appreciate coming on. Always great talk with you, man, and definitely hope to see you next week. I'll, probably try to do a live stream sometime soon. Have not reached the super chat goal just yet, but definitely appreciate those who have given already. Thank you to, again, Dave Valensky. Thanks to Godfather of the SEC and GT. Hope you're still here. I never got to your super chat. Sorry about that, but I'm getting to it right now. Who fought harder today, Hawaii or Avery Johnson's family? Jackson, what's your response?
I would say Hawaii did.
Sure. We'll go with Hawaii. We'll go with they had the one-legged quarterback, Micah Alejandro. That was a good effort from him. And, the kicker. So we'll go with Hawaii. Avery Johnson's family. I mean, all I know is usually when families are getting involved, it's not good. It's just, it's not good. Appreciate GT for the super chat and the great question. And we also got $1.99 super sticker from Godfather of the SEC. We appreciate it. I appreciate it, Godfather. Thank you for being in the chat tonight. Appreciate the super stickers. But yeah, definitely, we're going to be ramping up the college football content around here. For sure. I mean, I definitely will be keeping it coming as we get to week 1. Try to do some predictions. I don't know when for that. I'll try to do some week 1 predictions. I didn't get my week 0 in. It was a tough week trying to, get better, but definitely try to do some week 1 predictions for college football this week. Don't know when, but definitely appreciate the super chats. Got close to the goal. Got very close to the goal, but appreciate you guys for the super chats. Definitely will try to go live soon, whether with some predictions or I might just do a video on some predictions and, maybe be able to do a week 1 recap. It's going to be a lot crazier next week. This was a nice appetizer. Thanks for coming on as well, Jackson.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Anytime.
A lot of fun talking college football with you, man. And I guess we'll probably wrap up the show. Don't want to get too late, but definitely appreciate everybody for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share the stream out on social media. Definitely appreciate all the support. Appreciate the super chats. And college football is back, folks. A good start to the college football season, and it's going to get even better next week. Might even have multiple streams because we got Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. Cannot wait for college football next week. Hopefully, big wins for everybody's favorite teams. Appreciate it, and definitely hope everybody has a great night. College football